Yes, my friends, the Miami Dolphins are preparing for the draft, and a piece of news that came out today touched the hearts of fans. I'll tell you all the details, but first, answer me one thing. Do you agree that Tua Tagovailoa should stay with the Dolphins for this season? Or do you think he should leave? Comment below with your opinion, because it's very important to us. And if you've been a fan for more than 10 years, hit the like button hard and write, "Go Fins." One of the most important debates for Miami Dolphins fans heading into the 2025 NFL Draft revolves around one position: quarterback. The team has already taken steps to bolster the QB spot, adding Zach Wilson, a former first-round pick, looking to revive his career, and keeping Tyler Huntley around. But is that enough? The answer may not lie in the immediate talent pool, but in the long-term vision this front office has for building a sustainable contender. Because while the short-term pressure to win may seem intense, the Dolphins have quietly been playing the long-term game, especially when it comes to how they structure contracts and draft for value. It's not about plugging holes for a one-year playoff run. It's about establishing a foundation that can withstand injuries, evolve with talent, and be ready for the future, especially at quarterback. There's no sugarcoating it. Tua Tagovailoa's durability has to be part of the conversation. In 5 seasons, he's made it through just one fully healthy campaign. Head injuries and a hip injury to close out last year's season are red flags that force Miami to consider a contingency plan. The good news is that this team is clearly not making the same mistake as last year by skimping on quarterback depth. With Wilson and Huntley in the room, there's an insurance policy in place. But insurance isn't the same as a future. And that's where the draft becomes intriguing.
You have to wonder where and how the Dolphins might find their quarterback of the future. The top names, like Kim Ward and Shedeur Sanders, are likely gone before Miami picks at number 13. Even if they're available, Kyle Krabs, host of Locked on Dolphins, makes it clear he wouldn't advocate for drafting a quarterback that early, not even someone like Sanders, whose style does align well with Miami's offense. He's accurate, anticipatory, but also takes unnecessary hits and sacks, and doesn't offer elite athleticism or a rocket arm. The value at 13 just doesn't match the reward in this case. Instead, the Dolphins seem to be more in the market for a quarterback on day 3 of the draft. Someone who can grow in the system, someone who can be the third man in the room without costing the team a premium pick. Will Howard from Ohio State is a name that jumps out in this context. He's a big, tough, mobile QB who recently won a national championship after transferring from Kansas State. He doesn't have perfect mechanics, but he understands the game, has the arm strength, and can extend plays. And while he might not be there by the time Miami picks again after number 13, if he is, that's a conversation worth having. Kyle McCord from Syracuse is another option who fits the Dolphins' style: accurate, cerebral, quick trigger, but lacks the arm strength and mobility. He's probably the best schematic fit outside of Sanders, and Krabs grades him as a very early day 3 pick. If McCord is available in the 4th round at picks 116 or 135, that's where things get interesting. The opportunity cost becomes manageable, and you're not sacrificing high-impact talent at other positions. But the real wild card is Cam Miller from North Dakota State, a developmental small school prospect who didn't get a combine invite and flew under the radar. Miller is being dubbed as a discount Baker Mayfield by Krabs. He's mobile, tough, has a polished game due to not having a big arm, and could be an ideal 7th-round flyer. He impressed at the East-West Shrine game and might just be the kind of player who, with the right development, could become a valuable asset down the line. The real challenge for Miami is not just identifying talent, but balancing it against the structure of the roster and draft value. Spending a top 100 pick on a backup QB when you already have Wilson as a project feels like overkill, unless that guy ends up being your future starter due to unforeseen circumstances. And that's the paradox of drafting quarterbacks. It feels like too much until it suddenly feels like genius. One injury to Tua, and a developmental day 3 pick stepping up changes the entire narrative. Ultimately, this front office is playing chess, not checkers. They're not desperate, they're deliberate. Every move, whether it's signing mid-20s free agents with low guarantees or bringing in developmental talent, points to a strategy built around longevity and flexibility. The goal isn't just to survive 2025. The goal is to be sustainably competitive beyond 2025, and that starts with thinking carefully about the quarterback position now. So Dolphins fans, I want to hear from you. What do you think Miami should do at quarterback in this draft? Do you want them to swing early if a name like Shedeur Sanders falls? Would you rather see a Will Howard or Kyle McCord come in on day 3? Or are you intrigued by the idea of a true underdog like Cam Miller being developed under McDaniel's system? Let me know in the comments, because this decision could shape the franchise for years to come. let's keep this conversation rolling, because the implications of this quarterback situation go way beyond just a roster spot. This isn't about who's holding the clipboard on Sundays. It's about how the Miami Dolphins insulate themselves from risk and possibly position themselves to strike gold when other teams are asleep at the wheel. What makes this scenario so fascinating is the fine line Miami is trying to walk. On one hand, they need to show they're all in on Tua, giving him the support, confidence, and continuity he needs to succeed. On the other hand, they have to be brutally honest with themselves about the very real possibility that the injuries continue, that availability remains an issue, and that the long-term answer at quarterback might not be Tua Tagovailoa. That's a tightrope walk, but it's one that the front office appears prepared to make. And it's not just about Tua either. The team's backup QB philosophy tells us plenty about how they view the position. Bringing in Zach Wilson wasn't just a dart throw, it was a calculated decision. He's a player with undeniable arm talent, athleticism, and first-round pedigree. But he's also someone who struggled in a chaotic Jets environment and didn't exactly light it up in Denver. For Miami, this is a low-risk, potentially high-reward gamble. And it suggests something critical. They're looking for quarterbacks who bring traits that Tua doesn't. Wilson's mobility and off-platform arm talent bring a different flavor to the room, just like Tyler Huntley did, despite Huntley's limitations in the quick game. So when Miami does eventually draft a quarterback, expect them to continue that trend. Don't expect a Tua clone. They already have that style. Expect someone with complementary traits, someone who can step in and offer a different solution if Tua goes down again. Now, let's circle back to the draft board. Kyle Krabs made it clear, this is not a deep quarterback class. After the likely top 4 are gone, Ward, Sanders, Dart, Milroe, there's a big drop-off. That's why value becomes the name of the game. Players like Tyler Shaw and Will Howard represent intriguing second-tier options, but they come with question marks. Shaw has an extensive injury history and might not make it to day 3. Howard, despite his physical tools and championship pedigree, may be scooped up earlier than expected, especially with teams like the Raiders potentially in the mix. That's where someone like Kyle McCord really begins to make sense. He might not have the wow factor, but he brings intelligence, accuracy, and quick decision-making, 3 qualities that McDaniel's offense thrives on. If you can grab him at 116 or 135, you're not breaking the bank, and you're adding a player who can potentially run your offense if needed. It's insurance, it's development, and it's cost-effective. But again, the sneaky value could be Cam Miller. No combine invite, no mainstream buzz, but the traits are there. He's athletic, tough, has the intangibles, and plays with polish because he's never relied on arm strength to win. That's the kind of quarterback who, if given the right coaching and time, could surprise people. He's not just a practice squad guy. He's a legitimate developmental project who fits the McDaniel mold, smart, gritty, and coachable. So, now that we've broken it all down, who's your guy, Dolphins Nation? Is it the athletic upside of Will Howard, the precision and smarts of Kyle McCord, or are you riding the underdog wave with Cam Miller? Or maybe you're in the swing big camp and hoping for a miracle fall of Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart at 48? Drop your take in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. And whatever happens in this draft, one thing is clear, Miami is thinking ahead. The question is, are we ready for the future they're building?